Welcome to Paywall Podcast, episode number 21. I'm here with Tyler, and today we're going to talk about a dozen things to do to fix your paywall. And these are things that we see every day when we're going and looking at magazine and news publications that are just going wrong. And these are easy fixes that we're going to talk about. So this will be a quick episode. And if you're running a paywall, just hear us out, and maybe you'll find one or two things that you can fix very quickly on your website in order to bump your paid subscriptions, which is what it's all about. Tyler is the inspiration for this. He's the one who said, "Look, there's just so much stuff that's sort of low-hanging fruit we can help with." So, Tyler, I'm going to let you kick it off with the first example or two.
Sounds good. So let's talk about trials. One thing that I see oftentimes with news publishers is they're offering a trial. They're offering a paid trial, but they're offering a paid trial that is 3 months for, let's say, 99 cents. So a free trial is not a bad thing, but a trial that goes on for multiple months, especially a paid trial at 99 cents for 3 months. For me, it tells the reader that, hey, our content is only worth 99 cents for 3 months.
Right.
A free trial is not a bad thing. You see it with Netflix, although I don't know if they're still running their free trial anymore. But a lot of entertainment platforms do it. And if you're going to do a trial, I would recommend doing a free trial, do it for 7 days, and move on from there. And I kind of relate this to test driving a new car. You don't have to pay to test drive a car, but you certainly know the value of it after you drive it.
Yeah. And you get a short exposure.
Right. So you get to make a decision on whether or not what you're looking at is worth your money per month.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also add that if you're looking at a trial, in other words, hey, let's test things out, consider a free registration if you don't have one set up. So, which really acts as a trial, as a way to test your content. So you set your allowable articles that you could read to maybe a few per month in order to grab that email address, and then over time your newsletter drives that reader back to your content, so they see your paid messaging. We talk a lot about the free registration. It works, and it does really take the place of a paid trial in many cases.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep. All right, let's go. Number 2. Ads around checkout is the note I have.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, if you've ever been to a local news site and they do have a paywall, and you're checking out and you're going through that process, you're putting in your name, your email, and all that information, your credit card, and around the side you see advertising all over the place, on the header, on the sidebar. Maybe you get a pop-up in the middle of checkout.
Right.
If you're going to have advertisement on your website, which most local newspapers do to some extent, make sure to turn it off on the checkout process. And even on the My Account page where users interact with their and it doesn't disrupt the process of them paying you money. And the last thing you want to do is someone gets to the checkout process and there's a pop-up, and they click on the pop-up, and now you've lost them and they're on their way to who knows where. So
I've experienced that myself. Going to checkout, you're literally typing, and all of a sudden your numbers don't go in the form anymore because the pop-up is gets in the way. And it's like, really? So then you gotta close it and then figure out where you left off and go back to it. And that might just send someone away and be like, oh, forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, and one more thing too, if you're doing any kind of retargeting, if someone goes to your checkout process and they put in their email and maybe they don't, complete the process, or maybe they do. If they do complete the process, don't send them emails about, trying to get them to sign up after they've already signed up. So make sure if you're doing any kind of fancy marketing as far as emails go, just make sure that you're not bombarding people even after they've subscribed.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point. Try not to annoy.
Yep.
Simplify.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Keep the
Yep.
focus. All right. So that segues into our next one, number 3, which is offering too many subscription options. This is something that the data supports very clearly, that the fewer options you offer, the higher chance someone has of paying for subscription. So look at the New York Times. When it's time to pay, they'll give you one offer, sometimes two, depending on how they're testing. But that's it. Lots of products. Boy, they could shoot all sorts of different offers at you. But no, they've found that if they just offer one choice, they do better. So I'm looking at Track and Field News here, which is a publisher we work with, and these subscription options were set up some time ago, but if you take a look, there's monthly subscription, annual subscription, monthly premium archive, annual premium archive, annual subscription, annual premium archive, which is print as well as digital, annual subscription, print only, track codes, which is a whole different. Okay, how many did I just read off? 8.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's more.
Yeah. 8 options, right? So someone wants to subscribe to you, and they're looking at 8 options. It's like higher math. Like you're making them think, like what's right for me. So and we happen to know that their monthly subscriptions are cooking along very nicely. Their annual subscriptions they're doing well with their subscriptions, but just simplifying would boost their current stream of subscriptions. And what's the answer? Sell one thing if you can. Now, Track Coach is a whole different product, so that's different. But sell a digital and annual subscription. Opt out of your print if somebody doesn't want print, or like what the New Yorker does, offer 2 subscriptions. One is digital only, one is print and digital. Price them the same. Don't make people do math, right? And let people just check out quickly, easily.
And the thing too is, once you have them as a subscriber, you can always upsell later on if you have an archived plan, if you have these special additional subscription levels. So there's nothing stopping you, maybe after a month, or maybe somewhere within your subscription messaging, you could point them towards a more premium plan. It just doesn't have to be all up front. Make your decision. Here's 17 options.
I like that.
And go from there. Yeah.
I like that.
So
it's like this.
There's no. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it's like the start of the relationship, right? Like
Right.
Maybe there's a free registration, and that's really the starting point. But then when you pay, it's like, okay, now I'm all in. Now I'm going to be a subscriber. But you can start that with like step 1, and then like you just said, maybe they want archive access, and they'll upgrade to archive access. Maybe they want a different type of a print offer, or they want to sign up for Track Coach, which is a different product. Yep, I agree totally. Keep it simple, and it's just a flow. It's a funnel, right? Just step by step.
Yep.
Cool. All right, next. All right, Tyler, I think you have this one. Collecting too much data on checkout. What does that mean?
Oh yeah. So I'm a subscriber, or about to be a subscriber. I've clicked on subscribe. I'm going throughout your checkout process. I'm putting in my name, my email, and now I have to put in my address, and now I have to put in a zip code, and then I have to put where I found out about this newspaper, and then I have to put in there's too many forms, too many fields that have to be where data has to be inputted. And similar to the ads popping up, or not the ads popping up, but the subscription levels, having too many subscription levels can turn people away. This can happen on checkout too. So I like to have virtually name, email, put the credit card in, and move on.
Right.
If you want to collect additional data, you can totally do that, but maybe do it after they check out. Maybe you have a link that, or a MailChimp trigger that goes out. Maybe you have a form after checkout that people go to where you can collect additional data. It's just it will prevent people from getting through the checkout process if you offer too much for them to do.
Yeah, here's an example. So I hit the subscribe button on the website, and I'm getting, what if I'm choosing a digital only subscription? You don't need my address, right?
Yeah, exactly. I see that all the time. So
Yep.
a news publisher, they're only offering a digital option, perhaps, or maybe they have a digital and a print option. But on that digital only plan, they're asking for the address. Like, why do you need a billing address?
Right.
Why do you need a shipping address?
Right.
It's just way too much information.
Yeah.
Make it fast, make it quick, get them on board, and if you want additional data later, ask for it.
Yeah, a lot of options here too. So
yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so let's see what we have next. Pop-up on registration page.
All right.
That is the next one. That sort of falls in line with the advertising one. I will.
Yep.
Let's just talk about pop-ups in general. Let me just have a look here and go to this one here. Okay, so this is the fisherman.com.
Pop-ups seem like something from the late 90s.
Well, I understand pop-ups and we, there's ad revenue there. And then in this case, this is a subscription revenue, which I think is good because this is a subscription, based magazine. But what's happening here is, and you have to be really careful of, is when I go to the homepage, I get the pop-up right away. So I haven't even had a chance to browse anything, and it just strikes me as a pop-up. So that, and then I have to close it. So at least delay your pop-up by 15 or 30 seconds, right? If you're gonna have them, let people warm up to your content before you do it. But in this case, after I go to the homepage, I go to an article, I get the same pop-up again, right? And it grays out the whole screen. It blocks it. I can't scroll. I can't do anything. I have to get rid of that pop-up, right? It's not even like I would pop it up in a corner, make it a little more subtle, so you don't have to close it, but the messaging is there. And I go from article to article, I get the same pop-up. It's insanity. So ideally, you delay your pop-up, you put it in a corner, maybe. Like MailChimp lets you do that real easy. You just, slides up in the corner. It's pretty, it certainly captures attention, but it doesn't get in the way. And then, or set it to just show once and then go, once you close it, like you're done, right? It just goes away for 30 days or something like that.
Yeah. Pop-ups are the worst. I mean, I get why they're doing this and why they're putting that pop-up. What the goal is to get people to obviously sign up and subscribe, but that's a huge ask right out of the gate to ask someone to purchase something, and maybe they've never been to your site before. Maybe they clicked on your site through a referral from someone else or from a social media platform, and now you're asking them right out of the gate, I need everything from you. I need your name, I need your address, I need your credit card. Please subscribe. It's a bit much.
Yep. Got to be careful, especially when you're going for subscription revenue. Okay. So the next, the next two is having a default subscription message, which we'll take a look at here. So, and I'm going to wrapping it into this is not promoting the benefits of subscribing. So this is Heisenberg Reports financial publisher. And if you go to a couple of articles, you get the prompt to subscribe. For some reason, we see this a lot, and this drives I know, Tyler, this drives you crazy. It drives me totally insane.
Yeah.
That, this is where the rubber hits the road. And this is where you need to bring somebody in. Like if you don't have a marketing, sort of approach to things, bring someone else who does. Because when I come in here as a visitor and it says subscriber login, well, okay, first of all, it's a little stark. It's a little cold. I don't like, okay, subscribe to what? Like, what am I subscribing to and why should I subscribe? And what's the benefit of subscribing? So this messaging here needs to be benefit oriented. Like, what do I get by subscribing? Or maybe it's a free registration. What do I get if I register for free here?
It's certainly not clear that it's a paid option or a free option.
You can't. Like you can't assume 100% that everybody knows what you're selling. Like, we live in a world now where we're so overstimulated and we're so busy. We have such little time now that you have to be absolutely blunt. Like, hit someone over the head with a bat, tell them what they're going to get and why they should do it.
And this is such a big problem that we see a lot, especially with new publishers who come on board, and it's to the point to where we've actually considered internally creating a button that you click. If you're a news publisher, click this button and it'll change your wording. But ultimately, Leaky Paywall can't make that messaging for you. It's something that has to come from the newspaper, from a local on the ground human being who can put that messaging together.
Well, your audience and what the benefit, how do you make your subscribers' life better? That's the benefit, and that's what you need to describe here. And just to take it to that second step I mentioned earlier, if I hit subscribe, you should have a nice landing page that gives that visitor the benefits of subscribing. So, and this is something we also see is, okay, you go to the subscribe page. Sometimes you just get subscribe cards, right? And then, you pick one and you don't hear unlimited posts. Like, what is that? I don't know what that is. I know that it's unlimited articles, but the casual visitor doesn't know what a post is. So you have to be careful about your wording on your subscription cards. And then in your copy up top here, this is a chance for you to really expand on the benefits of why you're going to make the life of your reader better by paying you. And again, this is where the rubber hits the road. This is where people are making decisions. So if you want to boost your subscription revenues, you need to take a look at these two areas.
And in this example, there's just a lot of text, and it's tiny and it's overwhelming. So if you're when you're putting together your subscribe card page, as we call it, just try to keep it short, try to keep it simple, tell people the benefits, and then move on and let them go from there.
Here's a good example.
You don't have to you don't have to display your terms of service or your refund policy and all that stuff in the top of your subscribe card page. You can do that with a terms of service link at the bottom. You can there's other ways to do that versus how that example is doing it.
You got to get the
not to pick on Heisenberg, but I'm picking on Heisenberg.
It's okay. He's not alone. Okay, so just quick here. This is smallboatsmonthly.com. Fantastic example of how to sell digital subscriptions. They have, when you hit the subscribe page. So if I'm a cold visitor and I hit subscribe, I get two sections. I get one is why. Here's a nice intro from the editor, and then two, I get the benefits. And again, it's back to simplicity. It's one subscription plan, which actually has the subscribe for me or give a gift, subscribe for someone else. But that's it. It's a 1-2 punch, and then once I hit subscribe, I get taken off to the form. So this is a nice model, nice framework to follow. Okay, what's next? Confusing menu items. I think that one you want to talk about a little bit.
I see this a lot too, helping our Leaky Paywall customers, our pub care customers. When we're troubleshooting stuff, I'll notice that there is no menu for signing in, logging out. and kind of dynamically changing that menu based on whether a person is logged in or logged out. So for example, there's a sign-in option for the logged out people, and then when they log in, they see perhaps a My Account link when they're logged in, and that's only for the logged in people. And then obviously having a logout option and stuff like that, that's clear. So the last thing you want is for someone to subscribe and then they're kind of lost on how to manage their own account, how to log out, how to log in. So making that process as easy and as clear as possible is super important for retention.
So what you're telling me is, like, we're looking at the Herald Dispatch here, is what they're and we're not logged in or anything.
No.
But what you're telling me is, if I'm looking at their menu up here, I may not know how to actually log in.
Yeah, I see a My Account. I see a My Account option on their site. It's not exactly clear that that's where I sign in, but if I click on that My Account on the Herald Dispatch, it's redirecting me to a different page in a different tab. Try not to do that if at all possible. Just simplify the process. Looking on Herald Dispatch now, which is a paper here in West Virginia. Just keep it simple. Make it easy for people. An easy sign-in option, an easy log-out option, an easy way to manage their account. And I think a perfect segue here is if someone is subscribed and maybe they don't enjoy your content, don't make them call you to cancel their account. Make that easy. Make it a simple process. Let them cancel inside of their account, and maybe they'll come back in the future. Maybe there's a reason that they need to unsubscribe right now. Maybe they're on vacation, or maybe they're just not following along right now, or maybe there's a budget concern. So let people cancel. They'll respect that. They'll respect you for letting them do that online without having to call, because the last thing you want is for your newspaper to be the cable company and you have to call and sit around for an hour to cancel your account. So don't do that. This doesn't look good for the brand.
Well, look at like Netflix and Hulu and all the streaming monthly providers. Especially if you're selling a monthly recurring subscription, let people cancel, and then they'll come. They may come back in 3 months and say, "Okay, I'm ready for more." They dip in and then dip out, and that's the world we live in. I know personally, I'm. Oh, geez, when's the last time we used Hulu? Okay, well, maybe we'll just pause that for a second.
But it doesn't mean you're gone forever. Like there's always the chance you come back. Maybe there's a new show on Hulu. Maybe, and putting this in terms of a newspaper, maybe there's a specific article or some kind of series that you're running, and people are like, "Oh my God, I want to read this. I need to resubscribe."
And they're still on your email list, right?
Right, they're still there. They're still on MailChimp. Perhaps depending on how you've got that set up, and you can continue sending them content. And if they want to pay for it, they'll have that option.
So you mentioned dynamic menu. If somebody, let's say I'm a publisher, how do I set up a dynamic menu so it says, like log in, and then once I log in, it changes to my account?
All right. So for everyone using WordPress, there is a plugin called User Menus. I think that's the term. It's a free plugin in the WordPress repo. Install that, and you'll have additional options in your menu area to adjust the text and the links and stuff like that based on whether or not the user is logged in or logged out.
Right.
So it's super handy, super easy, and if you don't have it set up, I would recommend doing that as soon as possible, especially if you've got paid subscribers coming in.
That's cool. And then you can hide your subscribe buttons so that if someone's logged in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's one thing that I do for a lot of publishers here in West Virginia. It's hide that subscribe button when they're logged in. They're already subscribed. Don't beat them over the head with continuing to offer that paid option. And it just makes it easier. It's an easier experience for the subscriber. So.
All right, user menus. Okay.
User menus.
Good.
Yep, I believe that's it.
All right. Next thing on the list. Oh yeah, emails not delivering. What's that about?
Oh yeah, so we get this a lot through our support desk here at Leaky Paywall. So if someone subscribes and they're not getting your welcome, thanks for subscribing to whatever publication, or maybe they're not getting your password resets that when they request a password reset through WordPress. If you're a PubCare customer, we will set up what's called transactional email delivery, which is essentially a third-party service that ensures that your emails get delivered to your users. And if you don't have that set up, you need it set up, because simply relying on the web host to send transactional emails is not a good idea, especially when you're using shared web hosting, because there's a lot of people on those IP addresses, and those IPs can be banned from certain providers. So it's worth the time, even if you're not a PubCare customer, it's worth the time to look into a transactional email service. One that I love for WordPress is a system called Postmark. And Postmark, I think they give you a certain number of emails free, but it's relatively inexpensive. And it also gives you an activity log, and you can see emails going in and people interacting with them and stuff like that. So
Nice.
Highly recommend setting that up if you don't have it set up already.
Yeah, I think we for PubCare customers, I think we use Mailgun, and it works great too.
Yep. Yeah, they're all very similar. They all work the same. It's the same theory behind all of it.
Yeah, if you don't set it up, then your web server is actually sending email, and you get spam complaints. You could get blacklisted, which could take your entire website down. So there's that's a bit of a priority if you're not doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, I have something noted. Talk about too many social media icons. Okay, this is just a little pet peeve. It's not huge, make or break, but we're looking at a maritime sports here, and this is very typical of a lot of publisher articles. We're on an article. We have social media icons sitting above here, big colors. And then we also have the same group of social media icons, in this case, sitting below the article. And the idea, of course, is, hey, we want our subscribers, our readers, to share in social media, which is fine. But the data has been clear for years now that no matter how many buttons you put on an article, it does not improve social media sharing. And we have gotten to the point too where we all share social media in our own way. We have, me, I just copy and paste a URL into Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever I'm going, right? That's just the way I do it. It's the way I've always done it. Some people use, Twitter clients or dashboards to manage all their social media accounts. They're going to post through their system. The other downside of having all these icons on here is you can actually slow your website down. If you're pulling in Facebook content, let's say, sometimes I see that with social sharing, it can affect your page speed. But at the very least, it doesn't impact sharing. And secondly, visually, you're drawing attention to these bright colors and these social icons, when really you want the person to read the article without any sort of interruption.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is, and this drives me crazy across the board, and Pete, you know how I feel about social media platforms, and I think a lot of local news and news in general, how they feel about social media platforms. But if promoting Facebook and promoting Google or any other platform or Twitter on your website is not necessary. I see this even in local, like, for example, like a local contractor has, like, follow us on Facebook. You don't need that. You really don't need that.
Nope.
So I'll stop there.
Control your destiny. Get the free registration going and build your own email list. There's the value.
We could have an entire discussion about social media platforms and
right
how that ecosystem affects stuff.
So the other thing, just to continue with maritime, is be careful about giving away too much free content with your meter. We see this a lot, especially early on when publishers jump on with paid subscriptions. Is there, and you're nervous about ticking off your audience. I'm going to start restricting things, and I'm going to be nervous about that. And that's absolutely valid. And so most publishers start off with sort of a generous allotment of free articles. Maybe the meter is set to 5 free articles a month if you're a news publisher. Maybe it's 3 if you're a magazine publisher. And at some point you'll generally realize that's you're being too generous, and you're not triggering the stop or the subscription message enough, which really hurts your conversion rate. And you have valuable content, people are willing to pay for it. You just have to draw the line in the sand. And what I'll say a lot is, back to the free registration, is if you offer free registration, you offer value, like you'll get a few articles per month for that. Well, now you're giving your content away for free, right? So that sort of solves that problem of I want to make sure I don't annoy people. Well, you have to make a living, and you have to in your messaging, you need to emotionally appeal to your audience with that message. Hey, we need your financial support. Like, we're not going to be around if we don't get it. So you get that message across, offer free registration, and it really helps in a lot of ways. But we do see veteran publishers. We looked at small boats earlier. It's 1 free article per month, and then if you register, you get 1 more free article, period. And that's it. It's super tight, super. But they've been doing this for years, and they figured out that hey, we have great content. We'll let you have a little extra for registering. But if you want full access, then you just need to pay, and it's working for them.
Yeah. And I've worked with publishers who have traditionally given away free content on their sites, and then they're moving over to a paywall. And there's depending on how large the audience is, there can be a blowback on that. People do get upset. Oh my gosh, I have to pay for this now. This used to be free. What is going on? But over time, with messaging and with providing valuable content, that goes away. But it is hard, because people aren't used to having to pay for news. It's been primarily ad driven for 100 years or more, and now we're asking people for the very first time, in many cases, hey, you need to pay for this, just like you pay for Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and all of that stuff. So it takes time, but it will happen. People will do it, and they'll see value in it. And
they absolutely.
And one thing, one other small thing that just came to my mind too is, I work with a publisher here in Morgantown called the Dominion Post, and one thing, this is a really small anecdote, but putting the picture of the author on the article at the bottom, personalize it, connect with the audience. We live in this community. Here's a photo of the lady or of the man, or whoever wrote this article.
Right.
So connect in that way.
Part of that emotional connection, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's. So we should add another bullet point here. Don't ignore your authors, right? Like, get your authors to connect with your audience. Or get your audience to connect with your authors. Yeah. It's funny. You look at like really more advanced subscription setups where you're upselling things, and the thing that is working for some publishers is paying extra, like paying a premium to be able to outreach to authors. So, you can, let's say if you pay, you might have a regular subscription, but if you pay for a premium plus subscription, now I can actually message like this author on this topic and get an answer. Maybe not. Maybe there's a threshold for how many of the similar questions need to come through to an author, and there are different ways to set it up. But essentially, you're letting your best subscribers connect with authors. So to your point, I mean, do that. Just put the picture on to start with. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to talk about this last one?
Oh my gosh, this one drives me.
Don't give away
the law.
A percentage of your revenue.
Oh my gosh, this drives me absolutely nuts. And I see it a lot, especially with startup publications that are all digital.
Yeah.
They go to a platform And I understand the reasoning behind it. You need to get started. It's expensive, and
Yeah.
to build your own site and to install different softwares. And I totally understand the reasoning behind it. But just remember that if you start out with a SaaS type software as a service platform to grow your audience, remember that audience essentially, I don't know about legally, they belong to that platform.
Right.
And so anytime you have a payment come through, most of the time those platforms will take 5%, sometimes 10% of every single transaction until the end of time.
Right.
And the last thing you want to do if you start getting traction and you're like, oh my gosh, why am I giving up $500 a month when I don't have to do that? And migrating out can be complicated. So it's really important when you get started to find a way not to do that 10% or that 5% per month, if at all possible.
Yeah.
Use Leaky Paywall. It's free. Our core plugin is free. Not to go on a marketing expedition here, but it doesn't cost a whole lot to set up a WordPress site, especially for super small digital startups. Give it a shot, see what happens, and then you can start paying for software as you need it versus giving up all your revenue until the end of time.
Yep, until the end of time. And there's a good segue for the end of the podcast.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, hopefully you found these 12 plus things to not do helpful. If there's a question you have, please send it in to us. info@zine101.com will reach us. We'd love to answer it in a following podcast. And hey, we'd just like to hear from you. So Tyler, thanks for the chat. This is great.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks for coming up with this whole idea.
Yep.
And till next time, happy publishing.